Hey, shalom, shalom. Ha'ai Rab Tawab La Atam Za Akyakam Yawan Manra Chagadol Charlotte, which is good evening. This is your brother Yawan from the GMS camp at Charlotte. Nachamatam Kaya Ha Malakwatha Shamayim Kwara. Repent ye, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Call Layim La La Abanawa Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai Bahasham Rocha Hakwadash Wa Mashana La Zakwaniam Nawa Wa Malakim Shoro Chagadol, which is all praises to our Father Yahweh, which means he exists. Bahasham, in the name Yahweh Shai, he delivers in double honor to those and apostles of great millstone. This is Mashal Yah, Proverbs chapter 7, and we'll start at verse 1. And it says, My son, keep my words and lay up my commandments with thee. All right, I'm going to get a quick one real fast. This is Proverbs Mashal Yah, chapter 6, and verse 23. And it says, For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life. All right, so ultimately, these scriptures, all right, it's a lamp. All right, as it's stated in verse 23, it says, and the law is light, which it gives us essentially that vision, which the scriptures say, where there is no vision, the people perish, but he that keepeth the law, happy is he. Roughly paraphrasing, you see, because ultimately we get satisfaction in the fear of the Lord, you see. So going back, Proverbs chapter 7, and we'll get verse 1, it says, My son, keep my words and lay up my commandments with thee. All right, and let's get this word for keep. All right, the word for keep, it says shamar, which means to observe, to give heed. All right, you see, but then also lay up, it says tazapan, which it says treasure, hide, be stored. All right, hide from discovery, so keep them with you. You see, because ultimately that's essentially what keeps us at. That's essentially what guards us, from being destroyed. All right, I'm gonna get a quick one. This is John chapter 14. In verse 15, and it says, if ye love me, keep my commandments. All right, pretty much going back to Mashal Yah, Proverbs 7 and 1, it says, my son, keep my words and lay up my commandments with thee. You see, so we show our love, all right, by the keeping of the word, all right, which love is an action word. You see, it's an action word, which, it gives that, that feeling, when we're fearing the Lord. All right, ultimately, again, it's going to chiefly go into that action, which essentially is going to resonate, with what they call emotions, So verse 2, it says, keep my commandments and live, and my law as the apple of thine eye. All right. So if we keep the commandments, we'll live. All right. We got countless examples of that throughout the scriptures. This is Dabar Yam, Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 4. It says, but ye that did cleave unto the Lord your power are alive, every one of you this day. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my power commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, which, we got this scripture. We got Proverbs 6 and 23. We also got Proverbs 7 and verse 1. All of them going into keeping, you see, because it's driving the point home, you see, because it's very imperative, that we keep, we guard, we observe, the Lord's commandments. All right. Continuing on, it says, keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. And essentially, the law, statutes, and commandments essentially separate us from, the nations. All right. And the separation, you see, ultimately, the separation, all right, being made, you see, by us keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. All right, and that ultimately allows us to live. All right, let's get this. Let's get Dabar Yam, Deuteronomy chapter 30 and verse 19. And it says, I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life, that both thou and thy seed may live. You see, so the Lord told us what to do, choose life, choose, the scriptures, you see, because all these other, wayward doctrines and, ways of life, you see, it's not beneficial, because again, going to Kohelet, Ecclesiastes chapter 12 verse 13, we was made to serve the Lord, to fear the Lord. This is Kohelet, Ecclesiastes 12 and 13. It says, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear the Most High and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For the Most High shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. You see, so the Israelite man, woman, and child, or the man chiefly, was made, to fear the Lord. You see, and so on and so forth. You see, dealing with the order that the Lord set up. Because it goes the man, the woman, and then the children. But chiefly, the scriptures say that the Lord speaks to men. Proverbs 8:4. You know. But, we was made to fear the Lord, to keep the commandments. All right, verse 14. All right, it says, for the Most High shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. You see, so essentially, we're going to be held accountable. You see, the elect, all right, is essentially going to receive mercy, you see. And 2/3, because they didn't want to abide by this word, all right, they're going to receive a just reward or a just recompense, all right, for the lifestyle that they chose, you see. And that's going back to Deuteronomy 30 and verse 19. The Lord told us to choose life. The elect is going to choose life. You see, while 2/3, they're essentially going to choose that death style, and that's essentially going to be their demise. All right. So let's get this. This is Thahoyam, Psalms 1 and verse 1. It says, blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doeth he meditate day and night. You see, it says, and he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. All right. So I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna go down to verse 6. It says, the ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind driveth away. Therefore, the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For the Lord knoweth the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish. You see, so 2/3, all right, those is not abiding by the law, statutes, and commandments are essentially are going to perish. All right, but those that are delighted, in the Lord's counsel, all right, that are walking in the ways of the Lord, all right, being in that correct spirit, all right, meditating, day and night, all right, ultimately going to verse 1, it says, blessed is that man, that doesn't walk in the counsel of the ungodly. You see, blessed, that word blessed goes into, it says, ashar, it says happiness, blessedness, going to Proverbs, let's get this. Let's get Proverbs 29, and we'll get verse 16, and it says, verse 18, where there is no vision, the people perish, but he that keepeth the law, happy is he. All right, going back to Psalms 1, it says, blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly. You see, so essentially, he that keepeth the law, happy is he. All right, pretty much going into the man, that righteous man. You see, going into how he's going to be blessed, going into that word for blessed. And again, it went into ashar, and it said to be happy. All right. So essentially, following the Lord, all right, truthfully, is going to give a rejoicing spirit. It's going to give a happy type spirit, you see. And even, in the kingdom, is going to be happiness times 1,000. You see, we're not going to have to worry, about the things that we have to worry about on this side, Let's go into this word for happiness, and it says, yeah, it pretty much just goes into happy. All right, but continuing on back to Proverbs chapter 7, and at verse 3, it says, keep my commandments and live, and my law is the apple of thine eye. Bind them upon thy fingers, write them upon the table of thine heart. Essentially going into, a similitude for, again, keeping the Lord's word. All right. And it says, say unto wisdom, thou art my sister, and call understanding thy kinswoman. You see, because in the scriptures, wisdom is likened unto a woman. All right, Sophia. All right, let's get an example of that. This is Proverbs chapter 4 and verse 5. It says, get wisdom, get understanding, forget it not, neither decline from the words of my mouth. Forsake her not, and she shall preserve thee. Love her, and she shall keep thee. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding. All right, wisdom is like, again, to Sophia. All right, it's likened to a woman. you know. Um, so going back to Proverbs chapter 7, we'll go to verse 5. All right, and it says that they may keep thee from the strange woman, from the stranger which flattereth with her words. All right, ultimately going into, America, Babylon the Great, that's that, that harlot. All right. And it says that they may keep thee from the strange woman, from the stranger which flattereth with her words. All right. I'm going to get this real fast. This is Proverbs chapter 5 and verse 3. And it says, for the lips of a strange woman drop as in honeycomb, and her mouth is smoother than oil. But her end is bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword. You see, so, the ways of this place, all right, and following the ways of this place is ultimately going to amount to, being bitter. All right, America goes into being bitter. That mer part in America, all right, it goes back to the Hebrew word mar, which means to be bitter. All right, because again, this place is going to reach a bitter end. You see, and those that essentially fall in this trap in verse 3, it says, for the lips of a strange woman drop as in honeycomb, and her mouth is smoother than oil. You see, so those that essentially follow after that type of lifestyle and the trap that has been set, all right, essentially, all right, they'll perish. All right, at least they repent. You see, but continuing on, this is Proverbs 7 and verse 6, and it says, for at the window of my house I looked through my casement, and beheld among the simple ones, I discerned among the youths a young man void of understanding. All right, and it's essentially going into, Jake in America, being void of this truth, which void goes into a position of pretty much not having, or lack thereof. This is Proverbs 21 and 16. It says, the man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. You see, so those, going back to that verse, Proverbs 7 and verse 7, those simple ones are essentially in the congregation of the dead. And when you go into this word for dead, all right, it essentially goes into, a lack of understanding, a lack of understanding, again, going into a state of being without this truth, and we see, what that produces. Jake is gone out here, back to verse 7, it says, and beheld among the simple ones, I discern among the youths a young man void of understanding, passing through the street near her corner, and he went the way to her house. In the twilight, it says, in the twilight, in the evening, in the black and dark night, and behold, there met him a woman with the attire of an harlot and subtle of heart. All right, let's get this precept real fast. This is Revelation chapter 17. We'll get verse 4. And it says, and the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. You see, so again, going into that, that woman in Proverbs, the 7th chapter, all right, it's America. All right, let's get this as well. This is Tahoyam, Psalms chapter 144, and we'll get verse 8, and it says, whose mouth speaketh vanity, and their right hand is a right hand of falsehood. Anything pushing America, Babylon the Great, all right, ultimately goes back to some type of sorcery, witchcraft, and whatever else, they push here. Let's get this real fast. This is Nahum chapter 3 and verse 4. It says, because of the multitude of whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, the mistress of witchcrafts, that selleth nations through her whoredoms and families through her witchcrafts. You see, and this is going into, Nineveh, you see, but this can be likened to America, Babylon the Great. All right, ultimately, this place has tapped into that left-hand energy. All right. That's why this place is known as Babylon. The ancient Babylonians, they were into that, that sorcery and stuff like that. But when you come to America, all right, this place has pretty much those that are in rulership over on this side of the earth are essentially, they have tapped into these different civilizations, whether it be Assyria, Egypt, Greece, Rome. All right, and they have essentially made a conglomerate of different idols and different left hand energy, and they've placed it over here in America, Babylon the Great, and that's essentially the driving force behind a lot of the ideologies and lifestyles. You see, pretty much tying it into Nahum chapter 3 and verse 4. It says, because of the multitude of whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, the mistress of witchcraft. When you go into the word for mistress, it pretty much goes into a master of witchcraft. All right, it says Ba'ila, and it says female owner. It says mistress. All right, and when you go into this word for Ba'il, it's gonna say lord or owner. It says a ruler, so pretty much it says a master of dreams, or someone that has some type of preeminence. You see, but this will be a preeminent woman. You see, this place is known as America, Babylon the Great. All right, and it's that great whore. You see, which is place again, taps into the left hand energy. But going back to Proverbs chapter 7, and we'll get verse 10, it says, and behold, there met him a woman with the attire of an harlot and subtle of heart. Pretty much going into, the craftiness. That's what subtleness goes into. It says to keep secret. It says hidden, conceal. Okay. It's a lot. I'm going to look this word up. Yeah. All right. It says subtle. It says elusive, crafty, sagacious, discerning. You see, so those that run America, Babylon the Great, they do it in a very treacherous type of way. All right, it says she is loud and stubborn, her feet abide not in her house. All right, and when you go into the ideologies of America, Babylon the Great, you see how this place is ran. All right, they essentially can't solve any problems of their own. You see, they got to go and be the dictator or the tyrannous of these other countries. You see, with the guise of, or they hide behind the cloak of democracy. You see, but it's nothing more than Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter in the 5th verse. And it says, yet also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is his death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. You see, so America, Babylon the Great can't, maintain, what they have, going on here on the countryside, just like ancient Rome, showing you that this place is Rome all over again, Rome 2.0, So going back, this is Proverbs chapter 7, we'll get verse 12. It says, now she is without, now in the streets, and lieth in wait at every corner. So she caught him and kissed him, and with an impudent face said unto him, I have peace offerings with me. This day I have paid my vows. Therefore came I forth to meet thee diligently, to seek thy face, and I have found thee. You see, so those in rulership in America, Babylon the Great, are essentially, it says diligently to seek thy face. You see, because they understand who they have in servitude and slavery in America. You see, and what does Esau Edom do? They essentially set these different traps. All right, ultimately to ensnare Jake. This is Stahoyim Psalms 50 and verse 20. And it says, thou sittest and speakest against thy brother, thou slanderest thine own mother's son. You see, so essentially Esau is the one that's putting Jake in these scenarios to where he can point the finger. You see, but whole time Esau is the one that's essentially behind the one that's pulling the strings, so to speak. I want to get that word for slanderous, and it says Nathan, and it says to give, and it says to set, to place. It says to place snares. All right, that's the second definition. You see, so that's what Esau Edom does. He places snares. All right, and chiefly, we see this done in America, Babylon the Great. All right, back to Proverbs 7 and verse 15 or 16. It says, I have decked my bed with coverings of tapestry, with carved works, with fine linen of Egypt. It says, I have perfumed my bed with myrrh and aloes and cinnamon. Come, let us take our fill of love until the morning. Let us solace ourselves with loves. And that's essentially, how this place has made itself appealing to Jake. Jake essentially just wants to tap into the lifestyle in America. It looks appeasing. You see, because we're reading down, it says, I have decked my bed with coverings of tapestry, with carved works, with fine linen of Egypt. I have perfumed my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. Come, let us take our fill of love until the morning. Let us solace ourselves with loves. You see, so again, it's essentially Babylon trying to entice Jake, essentially to go off. All right, and for the masses of Jake, Jake just fall right for the bait. You know, but continuing on, it says, "For the good man is not at home; he is gone on a long journey." Which pretty much, again, that's America. Essentially, because you got some Jakes that essentially, sell out. So that's essentially, um, that's essentially America's way of saying, trying to convince Jake, that there won't be any consequences or repercussions. So going into verse 19, it says, for the good man is not at home, which that good man is Yahweh Shai. And it says the good man is not at home, he is gone on a long journey. He hath taken a bag of money with him, and will come home at the day appointed. With her much fair speech she caused him to yield, with the flattering of her lips she forced him. You see, continuing on, it says, he goeth after her straightway, as an ox goeth to the slaughter, or as a fool to the correction of the stocks, till a dart strike through his liver, as a bird hasteth to the snare, and knoweth not that it is for his life. You see, so again, that's the fate of those that fall for America, Babylon the Great, and the ways and lifestyle of this place. Which again, those lifestyles and ideologies are going to amount to nothing but death. You see, because that's ultimately the fate that those that follow this place is going to receive: death and destruction. Verse 24 says, hearken unto me now, therefore, O ye children, and attend to the words of my mouth. Let not thine heart decline to her ways, go not astray in her paths. For she hath cast down many wounded, yet many strong men have been slain by her. Her house is the way to hell, going down to the chambers of death. All right. And I want to get a couple precepts just going into that, because it says, let not thine heart decline to her ways, go not astray in her path. You see, because ultimately this is the spirit we should be in. This is Micah chapter 2 and verse 10. It says, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted. It shall destroy you even with a sword destruction. All right, so going back to Proverbs 7 and verse 25, just tying that into that. It says, let not thine heart decline to her ways, go not astray in her path. You don't want to have this place as your rest, you see, because ultimately going back to Micah 2 and 10, all right, having this place as a rest, having this place as a consolation, will essentially reap destruction. You see, we need to arise and depart spiritually. You Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans need to arise and depart spiritually, repent, and turn back to the Lord. All right. So let's get this as well. Verse 26, it says, for she hath cast down many wounded, yet many strong men have been slain by her. Let's get Mashal, Proverbs 31 and verse 3. It says, give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings. You see, this place is that great harlot, or this place is that whore, that harlot, all right, mentioned in the scriptures, you see. So we don't want to give ourselves over to the lifestyle in America. All right, because none of it is beneficial, to you Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, Haitians, and Israelite foreigners. We were made to serve the Lord. All right. So I got two more, and that'll be it. But this is Proverbs, Mashal, chapter 2 and verse 18, and it says, for her house inclineth unto death, and her paths unto the dead. All right, again, just driving home the point, you see, because that's essentially what those that stay in that type of lifestyle that they are in, and what they learn coming up, you see, because we didn't come up the correct way. You see, the correct way is to serve the Lord, Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. All right, this is my Shal Yah, Proverbs chapter 5 and verse 5. It says, her feet go down to death, her steps take hold on hell. You see, so following those footsteps, all right, following the way and the lifestyle of America, Babylon the Great, again, all right, is going to amount to death, you see. So I just wanted to go into that, my Shal Yah, Proverbs chapter 7, all right, essentially, touches on America, Babylon the Great, all right, and the different lifestyles, in this place, you see. So Adawar Tazaza Banaya Pa, Lord's will, that was a beautiful edification through the spirit. Wa Adawar Taza Adam Yashlaya La Tawab, Lord's will, you all have a good night. Wa Shalom Lakam, which is peace unto you all. Hey, Shalom, Shalom. Layla Tawab, Shalom.